This is the second blocks of the contemporary political thoughts, that is Gramsci on the superstructures. And I will go to the detail about on the Gramsci superstructures. Antonio Gramsci explorations of the concept of the superstructures is a significant development in the Marxist theory. He extends and revises the traditional Marxist understandings of the relationship between the economic base and the superstructures, emphasizing the complex and dynamic interactions between these elements. Below is a detailed explanations of Gramsci's idea on the superstructures. Traditional Marxist understandings of the base and superstructures. Base and superstructures like the economic base. In traditional Marxist theory, the economic base or structures consist of the force and relationship of productions, especially the way goods and services are produced, including the relationship between the different classes involved in productions. Superstructures. The superstructures include the cultural, political, legal, and ideological institutions that arises from the serve to maintain the economic base. They include the estates, legal systems, religions, educations, and cultural norms. Next is that is called the determinisms. Economic determinisms, traditional Marxisms often emphasize the idea that the economic base determines the superstructures. The superstructure is seen as a reflections or productions of the underlying economic reality and serve to legitimate and perpetuate these existing models of productions. This is the important determinations. Second important parts of the Gramsci revisions of the superstructures. Complex interactions, that means mutual influences. Gramsci revised the determinations view by arguing that the relationship between the base and superstructures is more complex and reciprocal. Why the economic base does influence the superstructures, and superstructures also play a crucial role in shaping and stabilizing the base. This reciprocal relationship suggested that classes changes in the superstructures can also lead to changes in economic base. Relative autonomy. Gramsci introduced the concept of relative autonomy to describe how elements of the superstructure, such as cultures, ideology, and institutions, can develop and operate with some independence from the economic base. This means that cultural and ideological factors can influence society in a way that are not directly reducible to economic conditions. Integral states, political society, and civil society. Gramsci explained the concept of the state to include not just the governmental political society, but also civil society, which comprise all the institutions that contribute to the shapings of public opinions and ideology, such as media, educations, and religious organizations. These broader understandings of the states highlight how to superstructures operate within the civil society to maintain or challenge the dominance of the ruling class. Hegemony within the superstructures. Gramsci introduced the concept of hegemony, which is the process by which the ruling class maintain control by creating a cultural or ideological consciousness. These are the very important parts. The broader understanding of the state highlighted to how superstructure operate within the civil society to maintain or challenge the dominance of the ruling class. Next important thing, that is the hegemony. Within the superstructures, Gramsci introduced the concept of the hegemony, which is the process by which the ruling class maintain control by creating a cultural and ideological consciousness. Hegemony is achieved when the value and beliefs of the ruling class are accepted as the natural orders by the majority of society, thus minimizing the need for the direct coercions. Next, he talked about the role of ideology in the superstructures. Hegemonic ideology. Ideological leaderships, Gramsci emphasized the role of ideology in the superstructures as a tool for achieving the and maintaining hegemony. Ideological leaderships involve the ability of the ruling class to project its own way of seeing the world as a common sense, thereby securing the consent of the governed. Cultural hegemony, cultural institutions such as schools, media, and religious organizations play a central role in producing and reproducing the hegemony ideology by shaping cultural norms and value. These institutions help to legitimate the existing social orders and neutralize the power relationship within it. Next, talk about the counter hegemony. A struggle for hegemony. Gramsci argued that superstructures is a key battleground for social political struggles. Subaltern groups, those outside the dominant power structures, must develop a counter hegemony ideology to the challenge the existing order. This involves creating alternative institutions, narratives, and practice that can mobilize peoples and contest the dominance of the ruling class. Organic intellectuals, the creations of counter hegemonic cultural requires the work of organic intellectuals who arises from the subaltern classes and articulate their interest, helping to develop and dismantle an alternative world view that can challenging the existing hegemony orders. Next, that is talk about the war of positions and the superstructures. War of positions, a strategic struggle. Gramsci introduced the concept of the war of the positions to describe the prolonged strategic struggle for influence within the superstructures, unlike the war of maneuver, which refer to the direct revolutionary actions to seize a state power. The power of positions involve buildings a new cultural and ideological hegemony over the times. Role of civil society. The bar of positions takes place primarily within the civil society where competing ideology and worldviews are contested. Success in this struggle require transforming the institutions and practice of civil society to support a new counter-hegemonic cultures. Next important thing that is the superstructures and social change. Transformative potential, that means cultural revolutions. Gramsci argued that transformation of the superstructures is crucial for any meaningful social change. This is because the superstructures play a key role in shaping people's consciousness and organizing their everyday lives. Without change in the superstructures, attempts to alter the economic base will be limited and possibly short-lived. Long-term strategy, that Ms. Gramsci emphasized on the superstructures, suggested that social change require a long-term strategy focus on the cultural and ideological transformations. Revolutions change is not just about seizing a state power, but about creating a new way of thinking and living that can be sustained in a new social orders. Next about that is practical implications of Gramsci superstructure theory, political strategy, building coalitions. Gramsci theory of superstructures has a significant implications for the political strategy. It suggests that progressive movements must work within the cultural and ideological dominations to build broad coalitions capable of challenging the existing hegemony. Educational and cultural work, the theory underscores the importance of educational and cultural work in building a counter-hegemony movement. This involves not only traditional forms of education but also the creations of alternative media, arts, and cultural practices that reflect and promote the value of the subaltern classes. These are the important parts. Now come to the Gramsci legacy, and he talks about the legacy that is influence of cultural study. Gramsci idea on superstructures have led to profound impact on the field of cultural study. where his concept of hegemony, ideology, and role of intellectuals have been widely adopted and expanded. Relevance to modern politics, Gramsci analysis of the superstructures remains relevant in contemporary political struggle, where the vital for the cultural and ideological dominance continue to be central aspects of social and political challenge, change. Next important thing that is the conclusions. Anatino Gramsci work on the superstructures that represent a significant developments in Marxist theory, offering a more nonsense understandings of the relationship between economic structures and cultural and ideological institutions, while emphasizing the relative autonomy of the superstructures and its critical role in maintaining or challenging social orders. Gramsci provided a framework for the understanding the complex process through which power is exercised and contested. Each idea continued to influence contemporary thoughts, particularly in discussions of hegemony, ideology, and role of the cultures in political struggles. Thank you. Thank you for hearing these lectures.